Alright guys, here we go. So you're going to be doing 31 through 34 on your ACT packet, okay? So if you need to, pause this real quick so that everybody can get their ACT packet out. Okay, so I've got the timer up here. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Alright, timer's starting. Ready? 31 through 34. Go. One minute. Alright guys, time's up. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So you should put that ACT stuff in your folder All right, I need y'all off your cell phones. I need you paying attention, guys, okay? Because we got a lot to do to finish up this section, okay? So your homework tonight is to go on Google Classroom and check your answers for 31 through 34. Then tomorrow, we never did the review numbers 26 through 30. So tomorrow we'll review those, and then let's see, that'll be Wednesday. So Thursday we'll review the 31 through 34 that you just did, okay? All right, right now, if you need to, pause this video and grab the notes for today if you haven't already gotten them, okay? So if you need to, pause this, let everybody get situated. We're going to start on this first page. This first page got cut off, so if you need to, this is page 11 at the bottom. So if you need to number that, page 11, okay? All right, so go ahead and pause the video. Get everybody's notes passed out. All right, here we go. So we are going to mark out this top section up here because we are not going to worry about that. But what you need to do first is grab a piece of paper, okay? So you need to grab one piece of paper. We did this at the beginning of the year, but some of us may have thrown that away after Christmas. Alright, so I've got my piece of paper. So here we go. We need to list our parent graphs because you have to know these. Alright, so here's the first one. The first one you ever learned since middle school should have been y equals x. And you ask yourself, what does that look like? Well, do you remember that formula, y equals mx plus b? It's the same thing. And it goes through the origin. So you have a straight line that goes through the origin. Just like that. That's what the graph looks like. Alright, the next one you need to know is we just finished doing this. Y equals x squared. You should remember that that's a parabola. A parabola that goes through the origin. So it's a U, and it hits right there at the origin, like that. Alright, then we have a new one that we haven't learned yet. So we're going to do x cubed. So guys, if you're noticing, this is x to the 1, this is x to the 2, this is x to the 3, okay? So here's what happens on this one. So draw your little graph. Alright, start at the origin. Put your pen or pencil at the origin. It's half of a parabola up to the right, so draw you half of a U up to the right. And then it's, start back at the origin again, it's half of a parabola down, so draw you an upside down half of a U. Looks like a little snake. It really, really is going to help you if you draw it like that. Half of a parabola up, half of a parabola down. It'll help you when we're doing these graphs in a few minutes, okay? Alright, the last one that we're going to talk about is we did x to the 1, x to the 2, x to the 3, and the new one is x to the 4. Okay, so what it looks like is a W. So you have half of a parabola down, then it's a W right over the origin, or a hump right over the origin, should I say, and then half of a parabola up. Looks like a W. Okay, so here is what you need to know. This is what I call this the nene graph, because that's what it looks like if you do. I know that's funny, I know you laughing, but I promise you won't forget it. It's the cube graph, but I like to call it the nene graph, okay? And I promise you, I know this is silly, but you won't forget it, okay, if you think about it that way. It's half of a parabola up, half of a parabola down. The x to the 4 is the W. Okay, so you have to know what these pictures look like, guys, okay? You have to. You cannot do this section without knowing what they look like. Alright, so keep that Don't put it up, but put it to the side for right now. All right, so let's look at these notes that should be in front of you. So the first thing that it says is we need to know about the degree. Okay, remember that the degree was the biggest exponent if it was written in standard form, but we add all of them together if it's written in factored form. Okay, that got you on your test that we just took on Friday. So make sure we understand that, because remember I said if you couldn't do that before, you couldn't do this stuff, and that's coming. So here we go. Let's talk about the degree. If you have an odd degree, so look back at this paper that I told you to put to the side. Odd meaning 1 or 3 or 5. We just haven't gotten to those yet. So if you have an odd degree and you have a positive leading coefficient, you see how this number in front is a positive, understood positive 1? All of these have understood positive 1s. So if you have an odd degree and a positive leading coefficient, here's what happens. What happens first? Look at both of these ends. Both of these ends are going down first. So if you want to draw yourself a little picture, because you're going to need to know what the ends do, okay? The first one goes down, and what does the other one on the right-hand side? The other one on the right-hand side goes up. So it's just, if it's odd and negative, it's just backwards. Instead of the first one going down, the first one's going to go up, and the second one's going to go down. Okay, it's going to make a lot more sense in just a minute whenever we go to graph these. So y'all just hold on a minute. All right, the evens. The evens are the 2s and the 4s and the 6s, okay? So what are these doing? The first one on the left-hand side, those are both going up. And on the right-hand side, on both graphs, they're also going up. So here's what you need to know. If they're odd, they go opposite directions. If it's even, they go the same direction. So if it's odd, it's opposite. You don't really have to write this twice if you don't want to. And if it's even, it's the same. All right, so this last one, we have an even degree and a negative leading coefficient. Well, if it's even, that means they go the same way. So if it's even and positive, they go up. If it's even and negative, they both go down. All right, so here we go. First thing you have to do is you have to find the degree and you have to find the x-intercepts or the zeros. This is exactly what the last thing on your test was on Friday, and a lot of us forgot how to do it. Remember how you said it was so easy, but then you forgot how to do it, okay? So the degree is, when it's in factored form, you add all the exponents up. So all of these exponents are understood 1s. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, the degree is 3. That is odd, okay? So we're going to look at both of these. So here we go. X plus 3 equals 0. That means subtract the 3. So I have x equals negative 3. X plus 4 equals 0. Subtract the 4. So x equals negative 4. X minus 2 equals 0. Add the 2. So x equals 2. So the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to plot the 3 points that you just got, okay? So here we go. Negative 3, negative 4, and 2. Let's graph those. Negative 3, put a point. Negative 4, put a point. And 2, put a point. All right, so what do we know? We know that we have an odd degree, which means that they're going to go opposite directions. And look at this leading coefficient. This leading coefficient in the front is positive. So we have an odd and positive. So if it's odd and positive, that means the first end behavior is going to go down. So take your first dot on the left. This first one's going to go down. We can curve it in a minute if we need to. And the last end behavior, the one to the far right, is going to go up. And we can curve it in a minute if we need to. Alright, here we go. Let's graph it. So, do not go in the order that you got. the zeros. Go in the order of the graph. So the first one here is -4, okay? So we have to figure out what kind of picture is going to happen at -4. Well, let's look at the exponent. The exponent is a 1. And look back at this picture of these graphs. What kind of picture has an exponent of 1? And that's a straight line, okay? So from here, we're just going to continue this up and make a straight line for that one. All right, the next one, don't go in this order, go in the order of the graph. The next one is -3. So here's -3. The exponent he had was a 1. So what kind of graph makes a straight line? What kind of graph is a 1? It's a straight line. Sorry, I said that backwards. So you're going to have a straight line. But hold on a minute, don't start writing yet. Okay, look, I'm going to do my pencil so you can see what happens. Alright, so look, I don't want this graph to go this way. I don't want it to slant in the same direction. Why? Because all this stuff has to connect together, okay? So, if you put that on there, make sure you erase that real quick like I'm going to do. What you want is you want it to go the other way because it has to connect up here at the top. But don't connect it yet. Here we go. So we're going to draw a straight line, but we're going to do it the other way. And then you're just going to connect these together with a curve, okay? You should have a pencil, which means you shouldn't have this extra little mark up here, so I'm just going to mark it out. You should have a pencil, though, okay? I can't use pencil because then you can't see it. All right, let's look at this last one. This last one is +2. So, find +2. It has an exponent of 1. So what kind of graph happens with an exponent of 1? And it's a straight line. And we know it needs to angle this way because this needs to go up. And then we just connect them with a curve. Alright, let's do this one, okay? I know it's really different, guys, but it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Alright, here we go. First thing you got to do is find the degree. So when it's written in factored form, you add your exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. So your degree is 5. So I know it's odd. 5 is odd. So I know both of my ends are going to be opposite directions. I just don't know which way yet, okay? Alright, so here we go. X plus 3 equals 0. Subtract the 3. So x equals -3. And let's put that on our graph. -3, put a dot. Okay? You don't have to highlight them if you don't want to. I'm just highlighting them so y'all can see them. So let's do the second one. X minus 1 equals 0. Add the 1. And x equals 1. Okay? So find 1 and put a dot. So some of you may be wondering what happened to the exponent. Remember, the exponent just tells you what kind of picture is happening on the graph. So don't worry about the exponent yet. So here we go. We have an odd degree. And let's look at that leading coefficient right here in the front. That leading coefficient is an understood +1. So all I need to know is that it's positive. So I have an odd degree and a positive leading coefficient. So it's the same thing. This first end behavior is going to go down. The last end behavior, the one to the far right, is going to go up. Now, if they need to be curved, we'll curve them in a minute, okay? You have a pencil so you can erase things. So do not go in this order of the zeros that you found first. Go in the order of the graph. This one comes first on the left. Read it just like you read a book from left to right. So this is -3. All right, find that exponent. That exponent is a 3. So look back at your graph. What kind of graph is an x to the 3? It's the nene graph, okay? It's the cube graph. So here we go. So you draw, you might want to erase this because it needs to be a curved line. So it's half of a parabola down. So pretend like that's not there. Don't look at that. You can erase it though, I can't. And then it's half of a parabola up, okay? It should look like that little snake. Guys, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you draw the half of a parabola, a half of a U, it'll make your life easy, okay? Alright, so pretend like this is not there. So let's do this one now. This is +1. What's happening at +1 is an exponent of 2. So, find your graph. Exponent of 2 is a parabola, okay? It's a U shape, the whole thing, not half of it, the whole thing. So here we go. We're going to draw a parabola right there. Do not let it go below that x-axis, okay? Pretend like that's not there. Erase that if you need to. So there's your parabola at 1. Why is it a parabola? Because it had an exponent of 2. And then what do I do with these? I just connect them with a curve. That's it. Okay? Alright, let's do number 10 together. Here we go. First thing you got to do is find the degree. The degree are all of the exponents of the x's, okay? This has an x, so this you have to include that 1. So that's 1 plus 1 plus 2. And how much is that? That's 4. Ooh, we got an even one this time. So even means that they're going to go the same direction. Okay, but look at what we have. We have, that is a negative 2. That's a negative 2. So it's even and it's negative. That means both of my ends are going to go down. So we're going to be looking at this one this time. Okay, so here we go. We have negative 2x equals 0. We have x plus 3 equals 0. And we have x minus 1 equals 0. So we're going to divide by negative 2. And you get x equals 0. Alright, let's plot that one. Right smack dab in the middle. Alright, then I'm going to subtract the 3. And I get negative 3. Let's plot that one on a graph. And then I'm going to add the 1. X equals 1. And plot that one on your graph. Okay, so we already know it's even and it's negative. So if it's even and negative, they're both going to go down. So find the farthest point to the left. That's going to go down. Find the farthest point to the right. That's going to go down. Okay? Why are they both going down? Because it has an even degree and a negative leading coefficient. Okay? If it's even degree and negative leading coefficient, they both go down. Alright, here we go. Do not go in this order that you found them. Go in the order of the graph. This one comes first, negative 3. Here we go. Find negative 3. Where did it come from? It came from x plus 3. That has an exponent of 1. Look back at your handy graph that we drew earlier. Exponent of 1 is a straight line, so it needs to continue straight up from here. Make sure that's straight. Mine's not really straight. Make sure yours is straight. Alright, from here, the next one is 0. So let's find 0. It has an exponent of 1. So here we go again. I'm going to take my pencil, and we need to draw the graph. Alright, so we do not want to draw, see how this line goes to the right like this, or to the left, whatever way you want to call it. I don't want to draw it that same way. I don't want to draw it this way, because then they're never going to connect. Okay? So I want to draw it the other way. And you've got a pencil, so you should be able to erase. So I want to draw this straight line this way. And then connect these with a curve right here. Alright, the next one is positive 1. Alright, let's look at positive 1. Follow it up. It's right here. Ooh, he has an exponent of 2. So an exponent of 2, look back at your graph. Exponents of 2 make a U shape. That's a parabola, okay? But here's the deal. This parabola has to go down, because that's why we drew these arrows first. So I know this parabola has to go down. And again, you can erase this little piece. I can't erase that. Alright, and then just connect these the best you can with a curve. Not a point, a curve. So erase, like I have this little extra piece. I can't erase it. You erase it though. Make sure you have a curve. And it's a really funky looking W, but it is a W. See how it's an upside down W? And remember, this was x to the 4. The degree was 4. And if you look back at your graph, those do make a W. Alright, so let's flip over. If you need to pause the video, just pause the video. Alright, so at the bottom down here, this is page 12. So I know that some of your papers got cut off. Doesn't have the page numbers for some reason on this first page. So this is page 12. Alright, here we go. This is a little different. How are these different? They're different because they're not factored yet. Okay, so we have to factor them first. So I'm going to come down here for number 11 to factor these. Okay, ask yourself, what do all three of them have in common? They all three have an x to the third. So if I take out an x to the third from all three of them, that leaves me with x squared minus 2x minus 8. Alright, then we've got to find the factors of 8, because this piece can still factor. The factors of 8 that add or subtract to be 2. So, what are the factors of 8 that add or subtract to be 2? And you should get 4 and 2. Alright, now, how do 4 and 2 give me negative 2? And you should get negative 4 and positive 2. Alright, so now that they're factored, we can find our degree. Excuse me. So our degree is either 5, if you want to look at it this way, it's 5, the biggest exponent. Or, when it's factored, you can add them all up. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. So we have an odd degree. And let's look at our leading coefficient. Our leading coefficient is an understood positive 1. So it's odd and positive. So if you need to flip back over real quick. What does that tell us about our end behavior? Our end behavior means that if it's odd and positive, the first one's going to go down, the second one's going to go up. Alright, so here we go. Let's find our zeros. X equals 0, because that's an x. X minus 4 equals 0. And x plus 2 equals 0. Add the 4. Subtract the 2. Alright, so we have 0, 4, and negative 2. Here we go, let's plot those. Do not go in the order that you got them. Go in the order of the graph. Okay, here we go. We know it's odd and positive, so the first one, the farthest dot to the left, that end behavior is going to go down. The farthest dot to the right, that end behavior is going to go up. Alright, here we go. This one is negative 2. Find negative 2 is right here. So follow it up. It had an exponent of an understood 1. That means it's going to get a straight line. You have to know what those parent graphs look like, guys, okay? Alright, the next one is 0. So find 0. Here it is. That had an exponent of 3. Alright, here we go. This is going to be a little tricky. You ready? The 3, look back at your graph. The 3 was an NA graph. It's the cube graph. Alright, it's half of a parabola down and half of a parabola up. The only thing is, in our case, it's backwards because ours has to connect up here at the top, okay? So instead of the first one going down, you're going to draw half of a parabola up and then half of a parabola down. See how it's just backwards? And connect these two with a curve. Don't worry, guys, we're going to spend plenty of days on this, okay? Alright, the last one is 4. So 4, here we go, follow it up. That had an exponent of 1. And it needs to connect down here at the bottom. So we're just going to draw this straight down here. And then just connect these with a curve. A prettier curve than mine, hopefully. Alright, let's look at number 12. Here we go, number 12. So, ask yourself, what do all three of them have in common? They all three have an x in common. So, it'll be x squared plus 7x plus 10. But then this little piece inside the parentheses is not finished. You can factor it by finding the factors of 10 that add or subtract to be 7. And that should be a positive 5 and a positive 2. Alright, so here we go. Let's split them up. So I have x equals 0, which doesn't change. I have x plus 5 equals 0, and I have x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract the 5, you get negative 5. Subtract the 2, you get negative 2. So I have 3 points. 0, negative 5, negative 2. I didn't give you 5 points, so just add an extra tick mark down there at the end. Sorry, guys. Alright, so we got to look at our degree. Our degree is either the biggest exponent when it's in standard form, which is 3. You can go ahead and put 3 if you want to. Or when it's in factored form, you add all of those ones up. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is still 3. You have to know how to find the difference, okay? Alright, so that means it is odd, and our leading coefficient is an understood positive 1, so it's odd and positive. So if you flip back on the front of the paper, odd and positive means what? It means that the first one goes down and the second one goes up. So find the farthest one to the left. First one's going to go down. Make sure you don't make it go straight down, guys, okay? It does have an angle to it. It's not a vertical line. It is an angled line. And the farthest one to the right does go up. Alright, here we go. Do not go in this order. Go in the order of the graph. Here we go. Negative 5. Negative 5 has an exponent of 1. So we're going to continue this line up and just make him have a straight line. Alright, the next one is negative 2. Negative 2 has an understood exponent of 1. And again, he has to angle this way because he has to connect up here with this, okay? So we're going to angle him straight down and connect it with a curve. Alright, 0. 0 has an exponent of 1. So it's going to be a straight line, okay? So you're just going to continue this straight line down. And you're just going to connect these two pieces with a curve. I brought mine down a little too far, so you can just erase yours if you did the same thing. I can't erase my pen. And that's it. And if you look at it, it's just a really stretched nene curve. It's just a really stretched cube, which makes sense because my biggest exponent was a 3. Alright, pause it, and y'all try number 13. Pause the video. Y'all try number 13. Alright, here we go. So, you should have gotten down to at least this point so far. And when you get down to this point, x squared plus 8x plus 16 factors as x plus 4 and x plus 4. There are 2 of them. When there are 2 of them, you write it as squared, okay? So if you need a second, erase what you need to fix. If you need to pause it, pause it. Alright, so let's find all of our zeros. We have x equals 0. And we have x plus 4 equals 0. Subtract the 4. And x equals negative 4. So you have 2 points, or 2 zeros, at 0 and negative 4. Alright, so fine. Let's see, what do we have? Our degree is the biggest exponent when it's written in standard form, which is 4, or when it's written in factored form, you just add them up. 2 plus 2 is still 4. Alright, so that means that our degree is even, and our leading coefficient is another positive 1, so it's even and positive. If you need to look back on the front, if it's even and positive, even means they go the same way. Positive means they're both going to go up. So find both of your ends. The farthest point to the left goes up. Farthest point to the right goes up. Alright, here we go. Go in the order of the graph. Negative 4 had an exponent of 2. So if an exponent of 2 means it's going to be a parabola. So do the best you can to make it look like a U. Do not let it go below that point. It stops right there. That point is your vertex. Alright, at 0, you know it's got to go up. So let's look at that. 0 has another exponent of 2. So it's another parabola. Do not let it go below 0. And then you just connect these two pieces with a curve. And remember that if you had an exponent of 4, the exponent of 4, look back at that parent graph, they were W's. And this is just a really kindergarten looking W. Looks like somebody just learned how to write W's. Alright, so those are your notes. From here, you're going to do page 13, okay? From here, you're going to do page 13. I understand you're probably not going to have time to finish all of them. We are going to finish the rest of them in class tomorrow, but I do want you to go ahead and at least start on 1, 2, and 3, okay? 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead and start on those. Y'all please behave, and I will be back with y'all tomorrow.